Hi, this is Miss Schooling with your October required milestone. This video is 15 minutes long, so I need to go pretty fast to get all the information in. So if you feel like I've gone too quickly, remember you can always rewind and watch again. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create an account in easybib.com. If you're a new user, you're going to go to this address, and this link will take you to a registration page where you can create an account. If you're an existing user, you're going to sign into easybib.com. You're going to look for your name, go to the drop-down menu, settings, look for the place to enter your coupon code, and enter Grand Prix HS1. This will be in the email that I send you, so I'm going to go on past this information in the interest of time, but go ahead and create an account. Okay, a few words about copyright, and I'll be quick and concise here. We all know that when we use other people's work, we need to give them credit. We teach our students to do this by creating citations and then putting them together in a works cited page. For written or typed products, and this usually goes at the end, or it can be in the form of a mediography slide at the end of an electronic product. Teachers should model this when they create presentations for their classes. Under the Fair Use Act, students and teachers do have a little more freedom than the average person when they're creating products for class, but they are not exempt from the law. For fair use, we look at the purpose and character of your use, the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount and substantiality of the portion taken, and the effect of the use upon the potential market. In order to help our students to be college ready, we all need to help them with their copyright skills. It's better to give credit when it's not needed than to neglect to give credit and be in violation of the law. If you treat copyright law as if it is important, your students will too. Set a good example. So easybib.com is the tool that we'll use to make all of this a little bit easier. Okay, so by now, hopefully you've created an Easybib account and you're logged in, and I'm just going to go through the basics of how to use it, and I could spend a long time on this, but my goal is to get this done in 15 minutes. Alright, so you've signed up, you've used the coupon code, so now you have all the benefits of the paid version. There's a free version, but it doesn't have all the cool stuff that we have. And we've talked about why copyright is important, so let's jump right in. Alright, so when you create citations, we generally use MLA on our campus. Sometimes in college you're asked to use APA. We can cite all kinds of things, websites, books, newspapers, journals, databases, and all 59 options, which we'll look at in just a second. But let's just do a quick basic citation. Let's do a book. Alright, so think of a good book that you've read lately, and you can type that in. I'm going to type in one of my favorite books, Holes. Great book. I'm going to click Cite It. It's gathering information for me, and it comes up with all these potential copies of Holes. So you look at the copy you're holding there in your hand, glance at the copyright date, the publisher, and you pick the one that seems to match what you have. So let's say, for instance, that this is my copy. So I'm going to click Cite This. It's going to give me an opportunity to adjust the information. For instance, if I only used a chapter or a section, if I have a special copy, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to create the citation. So here's the citation, and at this point I could just copy and paste it. But I'm going to make several citations today, so I'm not going to do that right now, but we'll look at that in just a minute. It's also pretty easy to create a citation for a website. So for instance, us librarians, we love the American Library Association. So let's say I wanted to cite something on the American Library Association page. Basically, I would copy the address, go back to Easybib, make sure I'm on the website tab, paste the website, click Cite It. It would tell me what information it gave us, what information I could still go back and try to find, and then continue to create the citation. Here are the things that said maybe you should try to look for these and find them. If you can find them, that's good, add them. If you can't, just do the best you can and then create your citation. Alright, so here's my citation, and at this point I could just copy and paste it. Real quickly, I want to look at the All 59 Options tab. There are a lot of cool things you can cite that aren't just books and websites. For instance, if you got information from an email, you could create a citation for that. If you went to one of our great theater arts performances in Chambers, and you wanted to quote something from that performance, you could actually give credit for a live performance. There are all kinds of neat things. Now, sometimes a student will say, what's the difference between a brochure and a pamphlet, or some question like that. That's when I say, well, look it up. But if you do a brochure and it's really a pamphlet, as a teacher, I'm probably not going to get mad. I'm going to appreciate the fact that you got pretty darn close and you gave credit where credit was due. So those are the kinds of discussions that come up when you're creating citations. But you can cite pieces of art, you can cite letters, all kinds of neat things. Okay, so if I'm working on several projects, for instance, one for history, one for science, one for English, I want to sort those into projects. So you go to My Projects tab, you create a new project. For instance, let's say I'm working on a project on children's books. And I pick what subject that's under, and this is all just for me to keep things sorted. Let's say education and children's books have affected the way, something like this, that we look at the world. Then I can create citations to go into this project. So that's how you create a project. And then I could click on the bibliography tab, go into that project, and create several citations for that project. A project that I created earlier that already has some citations. Let's look at this. This is my Mark Twain. I'm a Mark Twain groupie, so here's my Mark Twain bibliography. I could select the ones that I was interested in, or I could take all of them, MLA style, and to create a works cited page, I would click on export, and I could choose any of these options. In the interest of time, I'm going to do copy and paste. And as you can see, it took all of those citations, it doesn't matter what order I created them in, and it sorts them for me alphabetically. At this point, I could copy and paste this onto the end of my paper. I might have to make a few tabbing adjustments, that kind of thing, but basically it's done all the work for me. I can also share this. I can email it, invite others to look at it. And then a really neat thing is the Analyze tab, which we'll look at really quickly, but it looks at the types of sources I have. My diversity score is pretty good. Magazines, websites, books. Did I use a database? Yes, in this case I did, and we always encourage the use of databases. It looks at my website. 25% of them are credible, 25% of them maybe, and 50% of them they couldn't evaluate because they didn't have enough information. And then it just looks at a few other things, like the years my resources were published, the dates they were cited, and it just sort of looks at the diversity of my paper. So that's kind of a neat thing. All right. And now I want to look at the Research tab. If you go to the Research tab and then go to Notebook, this is a place where you can organize your information. I'm still in my Mark Twain project. As you can see, I have quite a bit of information here. But you can create note cards. And to create a note card, you click New Note. Mark Twain was the bomb. And you can put evidence from your text, and I know this is not very professional, and then you can save your note. All right, now as you notice, it pops the new note card always up here in the left corner, and so sometimes cards get stacked on top of each other. But then what I can do is organize these cards. If I click on a card, a blue box goes around it, and then I can organize it. I can either put a certain hashtag on it, or I can sort it by color. And then I'll know all my green cards are about his home life, and all my red cards are about his authorship, and all my blue cards are about his steamship days, or that kind of thing. Then I can take these cards and I can drag them over to my outline and sort of organize my ideas, play with it a little bit, move things around. For instance, if I think this card, this should be higher up in the outline, I can highlight it, I can click on the up arrow, and it moves it up higher in the outline. If I think this should be a sub point instead of the main point, I can move it over. If that was a mistake, I can move it back. So as you can see, I can totally create an outline in this area. So it's fun to play with. It's got a lot of a lot of neat organizing features. If you decide you want to do something like this with your class, it would be good to schedule a day and in the library on the computers, and I'd go over this with your students and we could teach them how to use it, and it would be a really cool place for them to organize and group their information. So that is the as fast as I can go version of easybib.com. Remember, anytime you want to get back to the home page, click on the Easybib icon. And just a very quick review of the features before we run out of time here. So you can cite websites, books, newspapers, journals, database, and here's where all the weird things are that you can cite. You can create note cards here. You can create outlines here. You can sort these, and there are all kinds of ways to sort them. You can sort the untagged. You can sort all notes by tag. You can sort descending. There are a lot of different things that you can do. So it's really fun to play with. So that's easybib.com, and that's me rushing like a maniac to get it all through to you. Please let me know if you have any questions about it, if there's anything I can do to help you with it. If you want me to come and teach it to your class, I'd love to do that. But the most important thing out of everything today is model good citation skills to your students, because if you don't do it, they're not going to think they need to do it. And to be college ready, this is something they really, really, really need. So again, I apologize for the rush, but I hope you got the basics of Easybib. Now, the last thing you need to do is you need to come by my office before the last day of October, and you need to sign the clipboard saying that you viewed this online video and that you're an expert now in easybib.com. Thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too hectic, too crazy. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.